We have Dee here, he's Deborah Swift. We have Lorna Ferguson, and we have Wheeler Taff, who is around somewhere. And we have our final judge, Aim Skillicorn, from Corrosion Books. And he has placed the final 3 in this award, but Dee's going to talk a little bit more about the award itself.
Okay, thank you everybody. We had such a hard job. All of you who entered, anybody who entered, we had a fantastic selection of entries. We were looking for character, we were looking for voice, we were looking for a good authentic setting, and we were looking for story structure, and we got all of those in shed loads really. So those that actually made the long list, you had to fight off hard competition, and those of you that didn't quite make the long list, there were some really good stories that we didn't quite get around to. So it was a really nice thing to read. And if anybody's tried to read 60 short stories at once, you'll know that the ones that stand out really stand out. So this is the long list, and I'm going to read out. And if the long listees could just stand up and turn around so people can see them. Annabelle Frage, The Sharing of a Husband. I Spare, Sharon Brayley. Disunion, Richard Buxton. The Happy Island, Christopher Shabasco. Behind the Curtain, Patricia Hilton Johnson. The Innkeeper's Banquet, Lisa Koenig. Fire on the Water, Vanessa LeFay. The Hungry Sails, Yvonne Lyon. The Fat Lady Sings, Geoffrey Monton. 10 Minutes, Dave McCall. The Half-Marked Warrior, Nikki Moxie. Too Late, Beloved, Jasmine Spen. And please could we have a massive round of applause. And out of those people we selected a short list of 6. And here's a short list of 6. Annabelle Frage, The Sharing of a Husband. I Spare, Sharon Brayley. Disunion, Richard Buxton. The Happy Island, Christopher Savasco. Fire on the Water, Vanessa LeFay. The Fat Lady Sings, Geoffrey Mountain. Certificates are coming.
It's always a pleasure and an honour to be the shortlist judge for this competition. It's also quite tough because the quality is invariably very high, and it certainly was again this year. My favourite short story quote is that a good short story tells you as much about the human condition as a novel, but just in far fewer words. And that's certainly true of the stories that I read. But I'll put you out of your agony and let you know. So I'm going to start off with third place. It's a joint third place because I really couldn't choose between these 2 stories. They were both moving stories about marriage and love and loyalty, but also about loss, although the circumstances of the loss were very different in each of the stories. And they are Annabelle Frage. Is it Belfrage or Belfrage? Sorry.
Belfrage.
Belfrage. Okay, I'll start again then. Annabelle Frage for Sharing of a Husband, and Richard Buxton for Disunion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Would you like to?
Yeah. So both all here together.
Yeah.
Well, let's do one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Can do. Yeah. Next one.
Thanks.
Both of you together at the minute with your sticky foot.
Oh no, we need you
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. Slashing. Yeah.
Right. In second place, this is a story that the quotation I just mentioned is certainly true of. It paints a very vivid and convincing portrait in few words. It was a very skillful piece of writing, and it's Geoffrey Mountain for The Fat Lady Sings. There you go.
Oh, I get the carrot, do I?
You
Sorry.
do indeed. Yes. Yeah. I'm done. Just
Thank you.
Right,
Yeah.
congratulations. Thank you. And the winner, this is a story that really gripped me from the beginning. It was very compelling. I really loved the narrator and her voice and story, and wanted to know what happened next. It's Vanessa LeFay for Fire on the Water.
That's grand.
Thanks very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. What we're going to do now is have the Bennett's Award. Gosh, we are really running to time. That was 5 minutes, fantastic. And Parnell Bennett's her daughter. The history of this award is that her mother died and left a kind of bursary for an award for a historical fiction novel. And she's very connected with the historical fiction's authors. Quite a lot of us, write for them, and that's very interesting too. So Parnell very kindly is here to present this award today, or they present it?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Over to you, Parnell.
All right, thank you. I'd like to first begin by saying a great thank you to the HNS for letting us present the award here today. It really makes the event so much more special, and I know Mother would really appreciate it, so thank you. I'd also like to thank the 3 finalists for giving me hours and hours of fun reading. You did keep me up very late finishing the books. They were that gripping. So without further ado, I'm going to just give you a brief overview. So I'm going to kick off with Kermit Roosevelt and his story Allegiance, which is set against the corruption of the Supreme Court in World War II, when Japanese Americans were being put into California concentration camps in the interests of real estate. And his tale of murder and espionage follows the story of a once privileged jock and how he turns from that to a man devoted to justice, despite the risks that it makes to his career. And it's a truly beautifully told story. Then we have Helen Schrader with Defender of Jerusalem, which is an absolutely gripping story that looks at the defense of Jerusalem during the 12th century, but not the Crusades. It's looking at the men and women who lived there, loved there, and worshipped there, and how they defended their land so bravely against Saladin, not just militarily, but politically as well. And finally, Stuart Blackburn, who absolutely brilliantly tells the story of the 2 sides of the British Empire, not just the men and women who went to serve Her Majesty, but the people who they were invading. And he shows how it's not just the day-to-day business, but how there are the tragic sides as well that we haven't really looked at. And it was an absolutely thrilling read. And so, without further ado, I'd like to say that these 3 finalists were utterly brilliant. And they really lived up to Mum's standards of well-told stories, beautifully written pieces, with a real flair of historical excellence. But unfortunately, we did have to choose one, and it was a tough choice. But we found one. And it is with great pleasure that today I present the M. Bennett's Award for Historical Fiction to Stuart Blackburn.
Well, that was really impressive. Thank you. And finally, we have the India Award for 2016, which is going to be presented and explained a little bit by Anna Belfridge today. So if Anna could step up here. And, oh gosh, and James, you're here. Wonderful. Why haven't I seen you around so far? Thank you. And would you like the mic?
Okay, so the HNS Indie Reviews have as a purpose to promote high quality indie fiction, which means that we set standards when it comes to layout, quality of the writing, and the quality of the presentation in general. And the Indie Award has as its purpose to recognize the best among the best of the people, of the books that we have reviewed during the year. During the year, we reviewed 400 books. And out of those 400 books, we got 4 finalists. So it's a bit of a tough grind to get to the finalist stage. And the 4 finalists are Bloody Bones, 5% Boys. When Sorrows Come by Maria Zizia. Aurelia by Alison Morton.
Well done.
Fossil Island by Barbara Corbon, who isn't here.
Need more hands. We had a hard yes. Good idea. We had a hard time judging between the four. We narrowed it down to two. Normally, the HNS Indie Award has a winner and a runner-up, but this year we are awarding it to two joint winners. The first of which Anna will be announcing.
And before I do that, I think it's important to express our gratitude to the very generous sponsor of the prize, who prefers to remain anonymous, which means that thank you, Mr. Anonymous. One of the first winners is actually Barbara Corbon, who isn't here, with the book Fossil Island. This is a fantastic coming-of-age story set in the 19th century Denmark, which is an unusual setting. It has absolutely amazing descriptive writing, both of interiors and of the things that were happening around. This is a time when women's rights were beginning to be discussed even in the far north of Scandinavia. We got a lot of the very famous Scandinavian literature personages that actually take a step out of the page and become someone you can actually interact with. And as a Swede, it was a joy to read this, because I've read all of the writers that actually took part in this book. So this was a fantastic read.
And our second winner is set during the enclosures of the late 18th century. Bloody Bones brings to life a hugely significant period of British history when Lord Oldfield's gamekeeper is murdered. Bow Street runner Dan Foster is called in to infiltrate the community of Barkham and find out who is responsible. Throughout the novel, Boyce gives us a real sense of a world in flux, an unsettled and uncertain time with rising class tensions threatening to boil over into social disorder. So, I'd like to present you with your certificate. Yes, Glenn.